Look, I need you to listen real close because what I am about to tell you is gonna mess with your head. This is the story of Ryuto Kageyama, and trust me, when I say this guy went from being the nicest dude you ever met to someone who could break hearts, like he was snapping twigs, and the wildest part is you are gonna understand exactly why it happened. The good guy era Ryuto was that guy everyone loved. 26 years old, working as a graphic designer in Seattle, making decent money, nothing crazy, but enough to live comfortable. He had this smile that made people trust him instantly. You know the type, right? The guy who holds doors open, remembers your coffee order, asks about your sick mom. Women loved him, but not in that way where they wanted to jump his bones. More like they saw him as their future husband, material, safe, dependable, boring as hell. If we are being honest, his girlfriend of 4 years was named Maya Chen. Stunning girl, absolutely gorgeous. Long black hair, legs for days, worked as a pharmaceutical sales rep, made more money than Ryuto, and honestly she never let him forget it, but Ryuto did not care. He was so deep in love with this woman it was almost pathetic to watch every Friday. He would surprise her with flowers, not the cheap gas station stuff either. We are talking about $60 bouquets from that fancy place downtown. He cooked dinner for her twice a week even though he worked 10-hour days, took her parents out for their anniversary, bought her little sister a laptop for college. This dude was running himself into the ground trying to be perfect, and Maya, she ate it all up. But here is where it gets interesting. The cracks start showing. One night Ryuto comes home early from work. He had been feeling off, that gut feeling that something ain't right. He walks into their apartment, the one they had been sharing for 2 years, and he hears the voices coming from the bedroom now. Most guys would have kicked that door down immediately, but not Ryuto. He stood there frozen, like his whole body just shut down. The sounds got louder, and he finally recognized the other voice. It was Marcus, his best friend since college, the guy who was supposed to be his best man. At their wedding next year, the wedding, Ryuto had already put down 15 grand for. Ryuto did not scream, did not fight, did not make a scene. He just walked out, sat in his car for 3 hours staring at nothing. When Maya finally called him 47 times, he answered. She was crying, talking about how it was a mistake, how Marcus meant nothing, how she loved only him. And you know what Ryuto did? He forgave her. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? He actually took her back, told himself everyone makes mistakes, told himself love means giving second chances. His boys tried to talk sense into him, but he would not listen. For 2 more months, he played the perfect boyfriend, but something inside him had died. He just did not know it yet. The breaking point: 3 months later, Ryuto is scrolling through Maya's laptop, looking for a photo she said he could use. He accidentally opens her messages, and there it is, months of texts with Marcus, but also texts with 2 other guys. One was her manager at work, the other was some dude named Tyler she met at her gym. The messages were graphic, detailed, planning meetups, talking about Ryuto like he was a joke. One message from Maya to Tyler said, and I quote, she actually wrote this: "He is so pathetic. He actually believes I am working late. Can you imagine being that stupid? I almost feel bad sometimes, but his money is decent, and he treats me like a queen." So whatever. Ryuto read every single message, all 6 months worth. He found out she had been cheating on him for over a year, not just the one time she admitted to. And Marcus was not even the first. That night something in Ryuto snapped, not in a violent way, but in a cold, calculated way that was somehow scarier. He looked in the mirror and said out loud, "Never again." The transformation begins. Ryuto did not break up with Maya right away. That is what shocked everyone. Who knew the full story later? He stayed with her for another month, but during that month, he changed everything about himself. First, he hit the gym, not like casual workout stuff. This man became obsessed, up at 5 every morning, lifting weights, running 6 miles, doing whatever it took. Within 3 months, he had dropped 20 pounds of fat and put on 15 pounds of muscle. His jawline got sharper, his clothes fit different. Women started looking at him in ways they never had before. Then he changed his entire wardrobe, threw out all his safe, boring button-ups and khakis, started dressing like he gave a damn. Leather jackets, fitted jeans, boots, designer watches. He grew his hair out a bit, got it styled properly, started using cologne that cost more than his old weekly grocery budget. But the biggest change was not physical, it was mental. The new Ryuto emerges. Ryuto started studying not school stuff. He studied psychology, manipulation, social dynamics, how to read people, how to make them want you, how to leave them wanting more. He watched how guys like Marcus operated, guys who seemed to get whatever they wanted from women without even trying. He realized something crucial: nice guys finish last, not because women hate nice guys, but because nice guys do not value themselves. They give everything and expect loyalty in return. But that ain't how the world works, so Ryuto learned to flip the script completely. He practiced talking to random women at coffee shops, at bars, at the gym, not to date them, just to learn how to create attraction, and holy hell, did he get good at it fast. The first test 1 month into his transformation, Ryuto finally broke up with Maya, did it over text. Just 3 words, "we are done." She freaked out, showed up at his apartment crying, begging. But when she saw him standing there looking like a completely different person, she barely recognized him. He told her everything. He knew every guy, every lie, every nasty thing she said about him. And then he said something that made her blood run cold. "Thank you for teaching me what I needed to learn." Then he shut the door in her face. 2 weeks later, Ryuto matched with a girl named Sophie on a dating app. Blonde yoga instructor, 24 years old. She was the kind of girl who used to never give him a second look. They met for drinks, and within 20 minutes she was touching his arm, laughing at everything he said. But Ryuto did not take her home that night. He cut the date short, told her he had an early morning, left her wanting more. She texted him 16 times. Over the next 2 days, when they finally went on a second date, she practically dragged him back to her place, and for the first time in his life, Ryuto experienced what it felt like to be desired, not needed, not dependent on desire. The difference hit him like a truck. The Heartbreaker era. Over the next year, Ryuto dated 23 women, not relationships, dated. He never lied about what he wanted, made it clear from the start. He was not looking for anything serious. But here is the thing, these women all thought they could be the one to change him. Every single one of them. He would take them on amazing dates, make them feel special, treat them well. But the moment they started catching real feelings, the moment they started talking about being exclusive or meeting families, he would pull back. Not in a mean way, just distant, cold. And it drove them insane. His phone was constantly blowing up women who swore they were just casual, suddenly writing paragraphs about how special their connection was, how they had never felt this way before, how he was different from other guys. And Ryuto would just read the messages and feel nothing, absolutely nothing. His boys started calling him Iceman. Some women in his social circle called him a player, a user, a heartbreaker. But the crazy part, more women wanted him because of it. The one who got under his skin. Then he met Yuki Tanaka, Japanese-American girl, 28 years old. Worked as a criminal defense attorney, smart as hell, funny, gorgeous in this understated way that caught you off guard. They met at a mutual friend's birthday party. Ryuto used his usual playbook, charming, attentive, just distant enough to create intrigue. But Yuki did not react the way other women did. When he tried to end their first date early, she just shrugged and said, "Cool, I got work to do anyway." When he did not text her for 3 days, testing her interest, she did not text him either. When he finally reached out, acting casual, she responded 8 hours later with a simple "hey." For the first time in a year, a woman was not chasing him, and it messed with his head bad. Ryuto found himself thinking about her, constantly checking his phone, hoping she texted, planning out what to say to keep her interested. He was acting like the old him, the one he swore he would never be again. They dated for 3 months, and Ryuto actually started catching feelings, real ones. He found himself wanting to text her good morning, wanting to bring her around his friends, even thinking about deleting the dating apps on his phone. One night after amazing sex, they were lying in bed, and Yuki said something that changed everything. She looked at him and said, "You know what is funny? You act like you are this cold heartbreaker guy, but I can see right through it. You are just scared of getting hurt again. It is kind of sad, actually." Ryuto felt like she had just punched him in the chest. The ultimate test. The next week, Ryuto did something he had not done in over a year. He opened up, told Yuki the whole story about Maya, about the cheating, about how it broke something in him, about how he decided to never let anyone have that power over him again. Yuki listened quietly. When he finished, she was silent for a long minute. Then she said, "So your ex was a horrible person, and your solution was to become just like her." Ryuto tried to defend himself, but she cut him off. "You are out here breaking hearts because someone broke yours. You think that makes you strong, but it just makes you a coward. Real strength is staying vulnerable. Even after you get hurt, what you are doing is just running and hiding." Those words hit different. Ryuto left her apartment that night feeling more confused than he had in years. For 2 weeks, he did not contact her, tried to go back to his old ways, went on dates with other women, but nothing felt right. Everything felt empty. He realized Yuki was right. He had not protected himself from pain. He had just become numb, and being numb was not the same as being strong. The decision. Ryuto showed up at Yuki's apartment at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. She opened the door looking annoyed. Before she could say anything, he said, "You were right about everything. I'd have been running scared, acting like not caring made me powerful. But the truth is I have been miserable. I thought turning into someone who could not be hurt would fix me, but it just made me into someone I do not even recognize." I miss feeling things, real things, and I feel real things with you that scares the hell out of me. But I would rather be scared with you than numb without you." Yuki stared at him for what felt like forever. Then she said, "If we do this, you need to actually do the work. Go do therapy, deal with your trust issues, stop treating relationships like a game you need to win. Can you do that?" Ryuto nodded. "Yeah, I can do that." The shocking truth, they started dating seriously. Ryuto deleted all his dating apps, cut off all his casual hookups, started seeing a therapist twice a week. Things were good, really good. Better than anything he had felt with Maya for 6 months. It was perfect. Then, one night Yuki came over looking nervous. She sat him down and said she needed to tell him something. "My firm is representing someone in a case. And when I saw the name, I realized I know them. It is Maya, your ex. She is being sued by some guy for fraud or something, and during our consultation, she started talking about her exes. She mentioned you, said you were the best guy she ever dated, said she regrets what she did every single day, said losing you was the biggest mistake of her life." Ryuto felt his stomach drop. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because she asked me to give you her number, said she is different now. Been in therapy, got her life together, wants to apologize properly, maybe try again." Yuki handed him a piece of paper with Maya's number on it. Then she said, "I am not going to tell you what to do, but I need to know you are choosing me because you want me, not because I am safe or convenient. If you have unfinished business with her, go handle it. But do not string me along while you figure it out." The choice. Ryuto looked at that piece of paper for 3 days, did not call, did not text, just stared at it. His boys told him to throw it away. Said Maya was toxic, said he was crazy to even consider it. But part of him was curious. The old him, the gentleman, him, that version still existed somewhere deep down, and that version wondered, what if she really had changed? What if they could have had what they were supposed to have? One night, he was sitting alone in his apartment. He pulled out his phone, looked at Yuki's number, then looked at the paper with Maya's number, and here is where the story gets really crazy. He called Maya. She answered on the first ring. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "Ryuto, I did not think you would call." They talked for 2 hours. She apologized, cried, told him she had been in therapy for a year. Said she understood if he hated her, but she needed him to know she had changed. She said all the right things, everything the old Ryuto would have wanted to hear. When they hung up, he felt strange, not happy, not sad, just strange. Then he called Yuki. The ending you did not see coming. When Yuki answered, he said, "I called her. We talked for 2 hours. She apologized for everything." There was silence on the other end. Then Ryuto said, "And I realized something. She did not change me back then. I changed myself. I became cold because I was hurt. But that was not her power over me. That was my choice. And staying cold, staying numb, that is still just another form of being controlled by what she did. Real freedom is not becoming a heartbreaker. It is choosing to love someone even when it is scary, even when they could hurt you, because that is what makes us human. I do not want Maya. I want you. Not because you are safe, but because you make me want to be vulnerable again. And that is terrifying, but it is real." Yuki was crying on the other end. She said, "That is the right answer. But here's something you should know. I lied." Ryuto's heart stopped. "What? Maya did not ask me to give you her number. I looked her up, called her myself, asked her to tell me about your relationship. Then I wrote down her number and told you she wanted you back. I needed to know if you were really over her, if you had really done the work, or if you were just with me because I was there." Ryuto sat there stunned. "You tested me?" "Yeah, I did. And I am not sorry, because now I know you chose me not because you could not have her, but because you actually want me. That is messed up, Yuki. I know you want to break up with me." Ryuto laughed, a real genuine laugh, the first one he had felt in years. "No, I think I might actually love you." "Good, because I love you too. You insane manipulative genius. Takes one to know one." Heartbreaker, the real ending. 6 months later, Ryuto proposed to Yuki. She said yes. At their wedding, his boys gave speeches about how he had changed, how he went from a doormat to a player to finally a man who knew his worth but could still love deeply. Maya sent a card, just a card, no message inside. Ryuto threw it away without showing Yuki. Some chapters are meant to stay closed. As he stood there watching Yuki walk down the aisle, he thought about everything he had been through, the pain, the transformation, the coldness, the awakening, and he realized something profound. Becoming a heartbreaker did not make him strong, it made him empty. Real strength was standing here about to marry someone who could destroy him, and choosing to trust her anyway. After the ceremony, his best man asked him, "You think you would have ended up here if Maya had not cheated?" Ryuto thought about it. "Honestly, no. I would have married her, been miserable, and never known I deserved better. So in a twisted way, she did me a favor. She broke me, but breaking was what I needed to rebuild myself the right way, not as a gentleman who let people walk on him, not as a heartbreaker who felt nothing, but as a man who knew his value and chose love anyway." And that is the craziest part of this whole story. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is exactly what you needed. The final twist: 3 years later, Ryuto and Yuki had their first kid, a little girl. They named her Maya. When people asked why they chose that name, Ryuto would smile and say, "Because that name taught me everything I needed to learn about love, loss, and becoming the man I was meant to be. And besides, we are taking that name back, giving it a new story, a better one." Yuki would always add, "Plus it pisses off his ex, and I think that is hilarious." And they would laugh, the kind of laugh that comes from the people who had seen each other's darkness and chose each other anyway. Because at the end of the day, that is what real love is. Not the fairy tale stuff, not the gentleman who does everything perfect, not the heartbreaker who feels nothing, but the broken people who decide their brokenness fits together and makes something beautiful out of the pieces. That is the story of Ryuto Kageyama, from gentleman to heartbreaker to something better than both. Remember this: who you become after someone breaks you, that is your choice. You can become cold, you can stay broken, or you can choose to feel everything, even the pain, especially the pain. Because that pain is what proves you are still human, still capable of love, still capable of being hurt, and still brave enough to try again. That is the real transformation, not from nice guy to player, but from broken to whole. Even if whole means carrying scars, now get out there and stop letting your past write your future.